Hello, and today we'd like to talk about something we touched on in an earlier reboot rethink, and that was what should be a lifestyle choice and what should be legislated or a target even for legislation. I think we don't get that right, and that leads to a focus on pretty much all the wrong things, in my opinion. So let's get started.
Why don't you start?
Okay. So I think a lot of things that for me would come under lifestyle choices is things that define our individuality. So like sexuality, what we do, gender issues, all these things. They affect us primarily and the people around us, and that should basically be left alone. Things like euthanasia.
Yeah.
And because everyone is busy prying into everyone's business, really, I think anyone else, like in the global population, having a say in these kind of intimate issues, that's the word, intimate issues, takes the focus away from things that do affect us truly globally, things like taxation, things like peace, war, how much we are spending on weaponry,
That's true.
And I think this bears a lot of discussion and it bears a lot of thinking about, because the reason these lifestyle choices are getting highlighted is because everyone's up in arms about them.
Yeah.
Really, what does it matter if gay people want to marry?
Yeah.
I don't see how it's anyone's business.
That's
Right.
true.
How does it matter if someone doesn't want to be pregnant, for example?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Exactly, that's very true. I completely agree with you because it's very religious in that gay people should not get married because then they will go to hell or wherever, right? But how does that affect you? They are not asking you to marry someone of the same sex. So I think you're right. People are just being very, very nosy, and prying into very intimate things.
Mhm.
So that comes from a very bad place, and I think people don't even realize they think they're doing something good for the other person. So I think for me, lifestyle decisions, what Penny said, I completely agree. And sometimes, basically, we make decisions to shape our lives, and sometimes these are conscious, sometimes these are unconscious, and these are our lifestyle choices. But then we unconsciously start to use our decisions and sort of ask others to, live by our decisions too. And that is what causes problems, I think. What do you think, Cosmo?
I think I've been thinking like, where does it come from? I think a long time ago when we used to live in villages and very small communities, everybody relies on everybody else to form a kind of common lifestyle, and so there's like very rigid imagination of what people could do. You're supposed to procreate. You're supposed to be part of this community in one way or another. So it's like our society's a fence. We don't need those things anymore. Like, those rigid, but somehow those rigid imagination for like potentials of people remain with us. So in a Chinese community, not to say things like, having a very alternative lifestyle, like being gay or things like that. It's just like if you pick a profession that is not supposedly making a lot of money, like if you want to be an artist, you want to be a musician, you want to be in sports, you're frowned upon. At a very early age, you're taught not to think about those things because it's deemed not responsible to your family, because traditionally you're supposed to contribute into financially to your family.
Yes.
So there are a lot of jokes about like Chinese New Year time, like nobody wants to go home because all your relatives somehow have this right to ask you about like when are you getting married, when are you having kids, and what kind of job do you do, and how much do you
A little
earn.
bit like Christmas.
Yes, so it's a very stressful time and nobody likes that. And
Aww.
I think it all comes from like how we think about other people should do in society, that somehow we think that if they abide by our rules or abide by our imagination, then we have a better society.
Yes.
But it's not necessarily true anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because like we
I
actually
agree.
benefit from having a very diverse and a very big community with a lot of different people.
Absolutely. I think people don't even understand that they're just clinging on to something, and that these rules that they're placing on others, they don't understand the consequences of these rules.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think it not only doesn't benefit, I think it is harmful. It is actively harmful
Yes.
because, like I said in the beginning, we're so busy minding everyone else's business that really the business of things that affect us
Yeah.
globally and affect. I remember a time in the US there was the Terry Schiavo case where she was on life support, and there was this huge legal discussion about whether she should be taken off or not. And legislators actually came out at midnight or something to pass legislation especially for this.
Oh.
And this was around the time of the Iraq War. And I mean, there were really terrible global things happening.
Yeah.
And everybody was really incensed and up in arms about something that is intrinsically a personal decision. It's a decision between the closest kin.
Yeah.
If she didn't leave a living will or whatever, which she didn't. But that really angered me, actually, because there's so much resources going towards something that is pointless. What does it matter, right? What we do in our
You
personal
make a
lives.
very good point.
And so, what we were saying about governmental and societal issues requiring the focus is what I think should happen, but it doesn't happen. More
That's
and
true.
more, if you look at what everyone's arguing about, and forget even legislation, everyone has an opinion about what someone else should be doing.
Yeah.
That, I think, is really toxic, and it's a disease, if you look at it that way, because it kind of eats away at the fabric of our relating to each other, right? Because we're all like pointing fingers.
Yeah, maybe it's related to like, sometimes we have biases and fallacies in thinking. It's like, I think traditionally we care so much more about things happening around us or things that we find personal than the things that happen like very far away and things that are very conceptual.
True.
So I think it's really interesting because in all communities where you only have each other, there are 100 people living in a village or something like that, it makes a lot of sense to care about what one other individual does and allowed or not allowed to do because it affects the whole community. But in our community, like to your point, it makes more sense to care about things that are far away but way more serious than people what choices people make around us. But we don't get that right because like we're not evolved enough. Like our societies have evolved, but we haven't evolved enough to like think about all those conceptual things that we should be caring about. Eventually it's going to affect us, but we care more about the personal stuff. Thinking that it's actually a commentary on our own. Like,
But that is funny because I always see people talking a lot about politics and stuff like this, and you see the need for people to actually get involved in things that affect the whole society on a bigger scale. But I think they're just going about it in a not in a very effective or constructive way.
yeah.
What do you think would be a more constructive way?
Just think about like take away the personal emotions. I think people oppose like gay marriage, things like or like what you just mentioned, whether or not you can choose your own death. It's because they feel like if this rules could be applied to other people, it could be applied to my family
To
as
my
well.
family
So
too.
they feel like it's a personal issue. But
Yeah.
if you think about it rationally, it's a personal choice.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
just because if it's an option for other people doesn't mean that it
Yeah,
needs to be applied to
exactly.
you.
Because everyone's different.
But it does
That's a
point
very
to the
good
fact that if it happens to your own kin, you need to be open-minded. And I don't think people are ready to let go of that.
Mm.
They feel like if I don't allow it to happen to somebody else in the society, then I can say to my own daughter and son, it's like, sorry, you can't be gay. It's not acceptable.
Oh, yeah, they don't have to like put up with all the, I don't know, pressure from
Ramifications,
society. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes. So it's
Oh,
like it's kind of a bit of like the selfish motivation.
Yeah.
Selfish, insecure. But I think actually a lot of these things, the instigator is political, right? Because a lot of these things are used to galvanize your political
Yeah.
party. And I think people should really wake up and understand and see it for what it is. It's just a tool, it's a stratagem to churn up emotion. And the thing that is lost, because it in fact does churn up emotion, these are basic triggers, right? Our sexuality,
Yeah.
our income, our life, our death. These are the currency of humanity. They lose the fact that it doesn't concern them
Yep.
in a global sense. It concerns them for their personal issues. And that is their choice, like you were saying, and it is always their choice. And in fact, when they go along with these political machinations, they're actually inadvertently screwing themselves as well, because they are depriving themselves of choice.
Exactly.
And people don't get it. They don't see it that way because they're all inflamed.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many times have you had politicians who, like, on their soapbox, and then their kid does exactly what they're
Exactly
saying,
the same thing.
or someone in their family gets pregnant, comes out as gay.
Yeah.
These things can't be legislated,
No.
and the general public loses sight of that in their inflammation. And that's why we're talking
Yeah,
about
then
this.
they
not to
don't-
wake people up.
They don't pay attention to things like you said, taxation
Yeah,
and stuff like
exactly.
that.
And it could be toxic. I think I agree with you 100%. Like that case in California where somebody goes, is it California, Florida? He goes to a nightclub and then shoots it.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
remember the name
that
of
is
the
horrible.
shooter, but I mean, a lot of people attribute to like his background or something like that. But upon digging his personal history, it could be possible that he has a lot of self-hatred because he's
Yes.
himself
Yeah.
gay, but he can't accept that, and his religion and his society is not accepting of that.
No.
So that kind of like shame and anger got transformed into like an outward way. So he felt like he had to kind of kill other people and kill himself to like feel better or to resolve that kind of personal struggle. And it's horrible. It's
That is very
horrible. Like
horrible.
it's this kind of pressure, like you say.
Yeah.
We are limiting our own choices as well, and limiting the choices of our loved ones, and creating these like huge like dissonance, like very bad feelings.
Yeah.
And what for? What benefit to what end? And why is that? And then I think it reminds me of something that I learned from my own profession. I'm a user experience designer, and you know how those forms, a lot of times you have to check whether or not you want to sign up for something like a newsletter or something like that, or if you started in a new company and you want to sign up for NPF, like a program. So in terms of like psychology, what we had learned as a designer is that if you let people opt out, people would be more willing to opt in. So if it's checked by default, then and you ask people to opt out, then people don't opt out as much. But if it's like not checked by default, you ask people to opt in, they feel like they have to make an active decision to choose. So it could be applied to something like how in the US they have an employer matching program for your retirement fund. I don't remember the 401k. And by default, they have decided to everybody would opt in because it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
So, and then it removes your like cognitive load of having to opt in, having to make the decision to opt in, and the results are much better. A lot of people are saving up money and then having their retirements and built up. A lot more people, more percentage of the population is doing that. So it's good. I think for lifestyle, it could be the same thing. Let's subscribe to all of the lifestyles. Everything goes. But you can opt out.
Oh, that's a very interesting
Right? You can
way
say
to-
it's like, okay, it
Yeah,
doesn't
but-
apply to me.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't jive with my values. Okay, then you opt out.
Yeah,
But
that's
don't
true.
prevent people from opting in.
Exactly. Oh, that's wonderful. And sometimes people don't even know that they are making a decision on something like this. And then
Exactly.
they just sort of go with the flow or what people around them think, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think people, like the government, can do something about this and actually involve people in this decision-making process.
Yeah.
But efficiently and not just like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm going to do this for you.
Yeah.
That
That goes back to your legislation.
Yes. Well, and I think the reason that this is able to be inflamed is because, one, people don't see it for the red herrings that they are. And two, I think within their own lives, maybe they don't feel like they have power over their lives. Or so if they see a cause or something they can latch onto and it gives them their sense of identity and things like that, then, you know, there's nothing more, what's the word, enthusiastic than someone who has something, you know, or doesn't have something to lose.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Where there's nothing else,
Right.
so they go
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the
gung-ho
exactly.
for this. And so if you were talking about action steps, I think for me it would be twofold: for people to just wake up and realize they're being used, in short.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How do you think people will realize that?
Just by realizing.
Thinking rationally,
Yeah.
reasoning it through.
I think it is important to bring it to their attention.
Yeah,
You know that
yes.
Raise
this
awareness.
is clearly they're not realizing it on their own.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's a very good question, because how do they realize? For everyone to stop and think, how does this affect me?
Yeah.
Why am I wasting my attention on something that I have no power?
Yeah.
Literally, people don't have power to decree, right? That
Yeah.
so one such and such cannot take their own life.
Yeah.
When they try to turn it into legislation, it's just like the bigotry I'm talking about. It's just ridiculous. Like I don't remember which state it is, but they're legislating that if it's a Christian or religious entity, they have the right to not serve gay people.
What?
Ridiculous.
Oh,
I think it's
no.
like they're trying.
That is so
turning
crazy.
A kind of like a perception or like a prejudice into law. It
Yes,
doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
There's no place there.
it's horrifying. It's horrifying because
And
bigotry as bigotry, racism, toxic and
Feel
so
the same way.
Oh yes.
And then when you make it official, it's horrifying.
Yeah. But that's the thing. They don't think this is prejudice or racism or
No.
They're just like.
Oh,
No,
that's
it affects the
religious
society.
freedom.
I think people don't understand what affects the society,
Yes,
and they are always going like, "Oh, if they do this, then blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
Like, oh, people will look at them and do similar things.
Yeah.
And that's really stupid. First of all,
Yeah, I think in our world, actually, the more diverse is the society, the more innovative and creative and more potential people could reach.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's really in a whole, it's benefiting us all. It's
Yeah.
making the cake bigger
exactly
for everybody. So
Yes.
you want diversity in your community,
absolutely.
for sure.
and more to the point, what you said, it's societal issues. People think they are making these arguments for societal issues, but actually it's not.
Yeah.
Personal. It reflects
It's
their own-
personal.
yeah.
And I think
Uh-huh.
that distinction, I cannot hammer it home
Yeah.
strongly enough.
Yes.
People need to make that divide.
Yeah.
This is other people's lives. This is our lives. And
Yeah,
our lives
That's true.
run on, do we have housing? Do we
Do we
have
have-
healthcare?
Yeah.
Are we being
Absolutely.
taxed,
Fairly?
fairly?
Exactly.
It reminds me of
Do we have peace, security?
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
it reminds me of that. Forgot who it was, but the pyramid, the needs,
Maslow.
like
Maslow.
the basic needs, psychological,
Right,
emotional
right.
stuff like that.
Those
I
are
think
the
the
important
higher,
things.
the higher needs are very personal, and they're always only achieved or like sought out after your basic needs are met. And I
Yes.
think as a society, we should worry about basic needs
Absolutely.
that everybody has equal.
Yes.
I don't know,
Access to?
yeah,
Yeah.
access to these things, and then let everybody follow their own like psychological
Yeah.
goals or emotional,
Yes.
people just don't understand that these things should not be their business. What should be their business is all these basic needs that everybody has a right to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
That will establish some baseline quality of life
yeah,
for
exactly,
everyone.
for everyone.
Whereas, people are below the poverty line and legislators are arguing about
Yeah,
Yeah.
who should get married and who should
yeah, it is ridiculous.
insane. And
Indeed.
every country across this whole globe are arguing about asinine issues
Yeah.
when the
Yes.
essential day-to-day elements
Yeah.
of our existence
Yeah.
Right.
are, war and
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why is there so much strife? Solve that.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
talk about why someone should
The
get
wrong
married.
priorities.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do we quickly want to
Sum it up?
Yeah.
I think
What could
my
help?
conclusion is just that I think the more inclusive and the more diverse societies are, the better we will be better off. So I think people should think about how to let other people have their own choices
Yes.
and think about their own choices more carefully.
Absolutely.
They could subscribe to something or not subscribe to something, worry about their own needs.
Yeah.
Don't worry about other people.
I agree with you. I do agree with both of you. I think people should worry about things that actually affects the society, like say clean water, stuff like that. Not who you're gonna marry and what school your kid is going to. Of course, education is very important, but make sure that everybody has an education. Then let them choose what kind of education they want, right?
Mhm.
Because I think we have to be very clear on these things, where our priorities lie. And I think we really need to identify our priorities as a society.
Absolutely. And then I would add to that to say, I think everyone should investigate what they require to make their lives bearable and, the services that are around them,
Yeah.
the laws that they live under, how are they removing or improving their quality of life,
Yeah.
and address those things very strongly. And also consider what other people do, how does it affect them? If someone else is doing whatever with their lifestyle choices, how does it impinge
Yeah.
their quality of
How
life?
does it really affect them? Not
Yes.
imaginary world in their head.
Yes. And if it doesn't, then to strongly discipline themselves to remove their focus, remove their vote
Yeah.
from
Oh,
those
I
sort
like
of
that.
issues and direct it.
Strongly discipline themselves.
Yeah. And direct it towards real change, grassroots change, and effective change that will better their lives for the future. So lifestyle choices and real issues.
Yeah.
So signing off.
Okay. Hi, my name is Cosmo, and I'm a user experience designer. I like to use design thinking to promote social good, and I think conversations like this is a great way to start rethinking our world. That's why I'm doing this.
Hello, my name is Gazala. I'm a big believer in providing people with the right tools to expand their perspective. I'm doing this to bring awareness to us collectively.
Hi, my name is Penny, and I really think the conversations that we have with each other in this world could do with a major upgrade. So that's the reason I'm doing this.